So here's the data log for one of the rolling two-step pulls I did. What the two-step is, basically it's just another rev limiter besides your peak RPM limiter. For instance, if you have a peak RPM limiter set at 7,000 or 7,500, this gives you another one anywhere in between there. So you can make it 5,000, 4,000, whatever you want. I happen to have it set at 3,800 RPM, which happens to be about 60 miles an hour. And what you can do is I have it set up on a button, so when I hit that button, it holds the engine at 3,800 RPM, and that limit is adjustable. I can make it whatever I want. I actually just turned it down a little bit because my goal was to target 60 miles per hour. So what I can do then is just hold that button, press the gas pedal all the way down to the floor, and it'll hold the engine at 3,800 RPM, keep me at 60 miles an hour, roughly. I found out I had to turn it down a little bit because it was too much, or too much mile per hour. So I turned it down now after this pull to 3,600. But what it'll do is when you have the engine floored like that, full throttle, limiting the RPM with the turbocharger like that, it'll spool up the turbo and actually build boost while you're holding that button. So it holds the RPM there and it starts to build boost, and then when you let go of the button, you take off like a bat out of hell. So that could be a huge benefit rather than a couple seconds for the split second or two or whatever it takes for the turbo to spool. If you're cruising along at say 60 miles an hour and you floor it, there's turbo lag there. There's a split second before the power comes in, the boost comes up, and you actually take off. So what this allows you to do is basically to leave on some more power than you normally would. And this could come into play especially on roll racing, but you can do it at the drag strip too. So I have it set at 3,600 RPM, and it'll build a certain amount of boost. And when I let go of that button, I'd let the clutch out and take off at that boost level. A lot of guys will put it on their clutch pedal, so when they push the clutch in, it'll hold the engine at that RPM, and then they'll have like an arming switch to turn it off, turn it on. And then also too, what you can do is make it a no lift shift box. Basically what that'll do is knock the RPMs down in between shifts, and that'll help you basically shift without letting off the gas. Flat shifting, it's called. It beats the hell out of your tranny, but it definitely is a faster way to shift when you're racing. But yeah, I just wanted to go through here and just see what happened. This green one here is throttle position, and we'll just scroll over to where I started laying into it, and when that hits 100%, you'll know I was into it. There's 2450. Okay, so now we're floored. We're looking at the RPM up here. It's 3,500 RPM. I had it set at 38, and I was going 58 miles. Sorry about that. The limiter wasn't actually hit yet at 3,500, so I have it set at 38. So when we go up to about 3,800 RPMs, you'll see it bounce up and down, a little higher, a little lower. See, I was staying there at 3,800, 30, almost 39, 62 miles an hour. That's why I lowered it down, because my target was 60 miles an hour. So 38, and then what we can do here is look at the boost, which is the map here, 196. I have this little calculator that Matt Happel hooked me up with. We just type in here 196, and that's 13.9 pounds of boost that I left with, where normally I'd be leaving with 0. A lot of guys, the other thing that they do when they don't have a two-step like this, you can brake boost. You actually hold the brakes and give it gas, and it's tricky though to try and maintain that speed, hold the brakes, get the turbo spooled up, and then let go of the buttons. Not that you actually have a button when you're brake boosting, but let go and take off, especially if you're trying to race somebody or you're at an event like Slipstream. This is going to come in handy. My problem is it just blows the tires off. And these are 305 40 18s, and they're pretty good generally on the street. You know, if you lay into it, it's 60 miles an hour or so. It'll hook and go. Sometimes it'll spin. Depends on the weather. If it's cold out, it blows them off. But if it's warm out, or maybe if you heat them up. But I do have a 28 by 10.5 slick. I'll have to try it with those. But yeah, I'm eager to try this out at Slipstream next time I go. And I'll check you guys out later.